The hall of the Galactic Council was filled with light, voices, and tension. Representatives from many worlds had gathered, each wearing their strange clothes, speaking their strange languages. At the very center stood a young human named Daniel. He was not a soldier, not a warrior, just a man sent from Earth as a diplomat. His job was simple: smile, greet, and show respect. Yet deep inside, his hands trembled. He had never stood before so many alien eyes. The announcement echoed through the great hall. The ambassador of Illyrians enters. A hush fell across the room. Every alien turned their heads toward the tall doors as they opened slowly. Out stepped the ambassador. She was taller than Daniel expected, graceful and radiant. Her skin shimmered faintly like moonlight, and her eyes glowed softly, a deep shade of violet. She carried herself like a queen, yet there was kindness in her expression that made people want to look at her again and again. Daniel swallowed hard. This was not just another alien. This was the ambassador of a race known for their mystery. The Illyrians were respected and feared. They rarely appeared in person, and when they did, it meant something important. She walked down the aisle with calm steps, every movement drawing silence. The council members bowed slightly as she passed, but her eyes were fixed ahead. Fixed on the young human waiting at the center. Daniel's heart pounded. He reminded himself again and again, it's just a handshake, just a handshake. Finally, she stopped in front of him. Her presence felt like a storm wrapped in calm. She raised her hand slowly, her long, delicate fingers glowing faintly in the council light. Daniel reached out. His palm was sweating, but he forced himself to stay calm. The two hands touched, human flesh meeting Illyrian energy. And in that single second, everything changed. A flash of light burst between them, small but bright enough to make the nearest council members gasp. A wave of warmth traveled up Daniel's arm, filling his chest as if a spark of life itself had entered him. He blinked in shock, but when he looked at the ambassador, his breath caught. Her violet eyes widened. For the first time, her perfect calm cracked. Her lips parted in surprise, and her glow spread brighter across her body. It was subtle, but in the silence of the hall, everyone saw it. Whispers rose from the crowd. What is happening? Did you see that? Her body is reacting. The ambassador quickly withdrew her hand, but her eyes lingered on Daniel, filled with something strange, fear, confusion, and something more, something unspoken. Daniel took a step back, unsure if he had done something wrong. His fingers still tingled with heat. He wanted to speak, to ask, but his voice failed him. The council leader cleared his throat, breaking the silence. The handshake has been made. His voice shook slightly, as if he himself did not understand what had just happened. The ceremony continued, but the whispers did not stop. Delegates leaned toward each other, muttering in dozens of languages. Daniel stood there, pretending to be calm, though his heart thundered inside him. The ambassador spoke, her voice steady but softer than before. I welcome Earth to the council, she said, her words smooth and diplomatic. Yet her eyes kept flicking toward Daniel, as if he carried a secret only she could see. When the meeting ended, the council dispersed, but the air remained heavy with rumors. Some aliens avoided Daniel. Others stared at him with curiosity. He could feel their eyes following him, measuring him, wondering what had happened in that simple touch. Daniel himself could not understand. His body felt alive, charged, as if something inside him had awakened. He tried to push the thought away. It was just a handshake, nothing more. But as he left the hall, he noticed the ambassador again. She stood at the far end, speaking softly to her aides. Yet when she sensed his gaze, she turned. For a moment, their eyes locked. Her expression was unreadable, yet there was a weight in it, a weight of something extraordinary. And in that single look, Daniel realized this meeting was not over. Something had begun, something far beyond diplomacy, beyond treaties. He did not know what it was, but he knew one thing for certain. His life had just changed forever. The great hall was empty now, but the whispers had not stopped. What had happened during the handshake between the human and the Illyrian ambassador spread through the council like fire in dry grass. By the time Daniel reached his quarters, he could already hear the echo of rumors from passing servants and aides. They say her glow changed when he touched her. They say humans have hidden powers. They say he awakened something inside her. Daniel closed the door of his room and leaned against the wall, breathing hard. He had only shaken her hand. That was all. Yet the way the ambassador had looked at him, it wasn't normal. It was as if she carried a secret that no one else could see. He sat on the edge of his bed, staring at his hand. His palm no longer glowed, but he swore he could still feel warmth there, faint and pulsing. Meanwhile, across the council chambers, the ambassador stood alone in her private quarters. The moment replayed in her mind, again and again. Illyrians were beings of pure energy and grace. They did not react to touch, not like this. But when the human's hand touched hers, her body had responded as though a spark of life had been given to her. She placed her hand over her stomach and closed her eyes. A strange sensation rested deep within her, something she had never felt before. Fear battled curiosity inside her heart. She had studied humans from afar, but never had she thought they could affect her in such a way. Outside the council, members spoke in hurried tones. Some were angry, some were afraid. This human is dangerous. No, perhaps this is destiny. If word spreads, it could change everything. And word did spread. Across the alien markets, through the halls of embassies, on the wings of gossip, the story grew. Some said Daniel had performed ancient magic. Others said he had forced himself on the ambassador through some strange human trick. Many laughed, but many more began to watch closely. Daniel, however, wanted no attention. He walked the corridors with his head down, trying to avoid eyes. Yet, no matter where he went, whispers followed. Some aliens moved aside when he passed, their eyes wide with fear. Others leaned closer, eager to catch a glimpse of the man who had touched the ambassador in such a way. That evening, as Daniel tried to eat alone, a group of alien aides sat nearby, speaking loudly enough for him to hear. They say she glowed brighter than the stars when he touched her. They say he is chosen. They say he will be punished for breaking sacred law. Daniel clenched his fists. Chosen? Punished? For what? He wanted to shout that it had been nothing, but deep down he knew it had been something. Something neither he nor she could explain. Late at night, Daniel's door beeped. Someone was outside. He hesitated, then opened it. There, standing in the dim corridor, was the ambassador herself. Her violet eyes were calm, but her voice carried a quiet urgency. "We must talk," she said. Daniel froze. The most important alien in the galaxy stood at his door, alone, without guards. He nodded and let her inside. For a moment, silence filled the room. She walked to the window and looked out at the stars. Her glowing skin reflected faint light across the wall. Finally, she spoke. "Do you know what happened today?" she asked. Daniel shook his head. "I don't understand it. I just shook your hand." Her lips curved slightly, almost into a smile, but her eyes held deep worry. "To Illyrians, touch is not simple. We do not glow because of contact. We do not change because of strangers. But when you touched me, something inside me shifted." She paused, placing her hand again over her stomach. "I fear the rumors are only the beginning." Daniel's chest tightened. "Then what really happened?" Her voice dropped lower. "You gave me life. That is the only way I can explain it. I felt it the moment our hands joined. My body responded. I am no longer the same." The words struck him like thunder. He wanted to deny it, to laugh at it. But her glowing presence, her trembling hands, it was real. He could not run from it. "What does that mean?" he whispered. The ambassador turned to him, her violet eyes searching his face. "It means, human, that you and I are now bound, and soon the whole galaxy will know." Daniel's world tilted. He stared at her, heart racing, while outside the walls of his chamber, the rumor already spread like a storm. The human touched the ambassador and changed her forever. Daniel sat frozen in his room, the ambassador's words echoing in his head. "You and I are now bound." He could barely breathe. His whole life he had thought of aliens as distant, strange beings, but now one of the most powerful among them was standing in front of him, saying their lives were tied together. The ambassador stepped closer. Her glow softened, but her eyes burned with intensity. "You must understand, human. Illyrians cannot change from touch. It has never happened before. Yet when you touched me, something impossible began." Daniel rubbed his forehead. "This doesn't make sense. I'm not special. I'm just a diplomat, just a man from Earth. How could a handshake cause this?" She hesitated. Her hand rested again on her stomach and her lips trembled slightly. "Because what I carry now is proof. My body reacts as if I have conceived. That should not be possible with your kind. Yet I feel it. I know it." Daniel's heart nearly stopped. His mouth went dry. "You mean, you're saying..." Her violet eyes met his, steady and unblinking. "Yes, I am carrying your child." Silence filled the room. Only the faint hum of the space station's engines broke it. Daniel's mind swirled, refusing to believe. How could one moment, one touch, one handshake create life? He wanted to laugh, to call it madness, but deep inside he remembered the spark he felt in his chest, the heat that rushed through him. It had been real. Daniel stood and stepped back, shaking his head. No, that's impossible. Humans and Illyrians, our species are too different. There's no way." The ambassador did not move. Her face was calm, but her voice carried weight like stone. "It is happening, whether you believe it or not. And soon it will not be a secret. The council will notice. They already suspect. The rumors will only grow." Daniel's chest tightened with fear. He imagined the council accusing him, the galaxy turning against him. He imagined being cast out or worse. "If this is true," he whispered, "then we're in danger." "Yes," she said softly, "but I came to you because I cannot face this alone. I need you to understand what has begun. A child born of Illyrian and human blood will shake the stars. Some will worship it, some will fear it, and some will try to destroy it before it takes its first breath." Daniel's hands trembled. He had never asked for this. He had only wanted to represent Earth, to keep peace. Now he was being told he would become a father to the most controversial child in the galaxy. He sank into his chair, burying his face in his hands. "Why me? Why Earth? Why now?" The ambassador's voice grew quiet, almost gentle. "Perhaps destiny chose you. Perhaps chance. But I believe there is purpose. I felt it in the moment of our contact. This child, it may be the bridge between our species." Daniel looked up at her, struggling to find words. Her face, glowing faintly in the dim light, was filled with both strength and fear. For the first time she looked less like a perfect ambassador and more like a woman carrying a heavy burden. His thoughts raced. If what she said was true, then his choices mattered more than ever. Should he accept this impossible truth? Or should he deny it, walk away, pretend nothing happened? But deep down, he already knew. He could not walk away. The warmth still pulsed in his chest, a reminder of that spark. Daniel exhaled slowly. "If what you say is true, then I won't run. But I don't know what to do. I don't know how to protect you." A shadow crossed her face. "We must keep this hidden, at least for now. The council must not know until the time is right. Promise me, human. Promise you will not betray this secret." Daniel nodded slowly, though fear gnawed at his heart. "I promise." She moved closer, so near he could see the faint shimmer of her skin, the delicate glow of her eyes. For a moment their breaths mingled in the silence. "Then our lives are bound," she whispered. and nothing will ever be the same again? As she left his room, Daniel stared at the stars beyond the window. His hand still tingled, his chest still burned with strange warmth. He whispered to himself, trying to accept the impossible. I'm going to be a father? The words felt unreal, yet heavy. He could almost hear the galaxy outside, restless, waiting, ready to tear them apart or bow before them. And in the distance, unseen in the shadows, 2 council spies had already reported what they suspected. The rumor had grown teeth. Soon it would become a storm. The next morning, the Galactic Council chamber was louder than ever. The Great Hall, usually a place of calm discussion, now buzzed with shouts and arguments. Delegates from dozens of worlds filled the air with their anger. The human has corrupted her, one voice roared. This is an insult to our traditions, another spat. Perhaps this is a sign from the stars, a calmer voice said, though it was quickly drowned by the noise. Daniel sat in his small seat at the side of the chamber, his palms sweating. He had not spoken a word since the meeting began. Every eye turned to him at least once, some filled with fear, others with hatred, and some with curiosity. At the center of it all stood the Illyrian ambassador. Her glow was dimmer today, but her voice carried power. Enough, she said, raising her hand. The hall quieted, though the tension still burned in the air. What has happened is not corruption, nor trickery. It was not forced. It was fate. Her words sparked another explosion of voices. Fate? Nonsense. She has betrayed us. The human must be punished. The council leader struck his staff against the floor. The sound echoed through the hall, silencing the crowd. His old eyes narrowed as he looked first at the ambassador, then at Daniel. Ambassador, the rumors have grown. Is it true that your body has changed since your contact with this human? The ambassador stood tall, her violet eyes shining. It is true. A gasp swept across the chamber. Some council members stood in outrage. Others shook their heads, muttering in disbelief. Daniel felt his chest tighten, as though the air itself had turned heavy. The council leader's gaze shifted to him. And you, human, do you admit to this? Did you use some secret Earth technology, some hidden weapon to bind yourself to her? Daniel rose slowly, his knees trembling. Every part of him wanted to deny it, to shout that it was not his fault. But he remembered his promise to her. He remembered the spark in his chest, the glow in her eyes. He could not deny it now. I did nothing, Daniel said, his voice steady but low. We shook hands. That is all. I don't know why this happened. But it was no trick, no plan. It was real. The room erupted again. Some laughed bitterly. Others growled in rage. Lies! Impossible! Blasphemy! The council leader raised his staff again, silencing them. He looked back at the ambassador. You are one of the most respected voices of this galaxy. Yet, if you carry a child of human blood, and what will it mean? What will it bring, peace or destruction? The ambassador's voice was calm but firm. It will bring unity. For too long we have been divided. Illyrians stand apart. Humans are treated as weak newcomers. But this child will be a bridge. Her words carried power, but not everyone accepted them. A tall reptilian delegate slammed his claws against the table. Bridge? No, this is an abomination, a mix of species that should never exist. His eyes glared at Daniel with fury. The human should be removed at once for the safety of all. Others nodded in agreement. The hall filled with dangerous murmurs. Daniel felt sweat drip down his back. He had never felt so small, so powerless. He wanted to run, but his feet were locked to the floor. Then the ambassador stepped forward, placing herself directly between Daniel and the council. Her voice rose, strong and unshakable. If you touch him, you will go through me. He is not my shame. He is my choice, and I will protect him. The hall froze. Never before had an Illyrian ambassador spoken in such a way, defying the council openly. The reptilian delegate hissed. Then you defy us all? Her eyes glowed brighter. I defy fear. I defy hatred. I will not let you decide the fate of my child. Daniel's heart pounded. For the first time, he saw not only a diplomat, but a warrior standing before him. She had chosen to protect him, though it meant standing against the galaxy itself. The council leader's voice grew heavy with warning. You have declared war on tradition, Ambassador. And you, human, if you remain, you may not survive what comes next. Silence hung in the air. Daniel could feel the storm gathering around him, a storm that would soon break. But deep inside, something steadied him. The ambassador had stood for him, risked everything for him. He could not stay silent. He stepped forward and spoke clearly, his voice carrying through the hall. Then I will stand with her. Whatever comes, I will not abandon her. Or the child. The chamber erupted once more, chaos rising like thunder. But above the noise, the two of them stood together, an alien ambassador glowing with defiance, and a human who had just declared himself father to a child not yet born. And across the galaxy, unseen but certain enemies were already sharpening their blades. Daniel had never felt so exposed in his life. The eyes of the council, the anger of the delegates, and the whispers of the galaxy pressed down on him like a heavy weight. Yet even under that crushing pressure, one truth remained clear. The Illyrian ambassador had chosen to stand for him. She had risked everything. Now it was his turn. That night, Daniel could not sleep. He paced his small quarters again and again, replaying the moment in the council hall. Her words, her glow, her defiance, it all burned inside his mind. He is not my shame. He is my choice. But was he ready to make the same choice? Outside, the galaxy already buzzed with the story. Reports spread across communication networks carried by gossipers and newscasters alike. The human diplomat has bound himself to the Illyrian ambassador. The ambassador carries his child. Some called it a miracle. Others called it a curse. On one world, humans were celebrated as heroes. On another, their ships were turned away, branded as dangerous. Every moment the story grew, dividing the galaxy in two. Daniel sat at his desk, staring at his shaking hands. I never wanted this. I never asked for this. But then he remembered her face, the fear she tried to hide, the strength she showed when the council demanded his punishment. She had not abandoned him. How could he abandon her? A soft knock broke his thoughts. The door slid open, and she stepped inside. The ambassador looked different tonight. Her violet eyes were tired, her glow faint, her shoulders heavy. Yet when she looked at him, there was still warmth. You are troubled, she said quietly. Daniel let out a bitter laugh. Troubled. The whole galaxy wants me gone. Half of them think I'm a monster. The other half thinks I'm some kind of chosen hero, and all I did was shake your hand. She walked closer, her steps slow. You did more than that. You gave me something my people thought impossible. You gave me life where none should be. She paused, then placed her hand gently over her stomach. And now, I must ask you, will you accept this? Will you stand beside me? Not as a mistake, but as a father? The word cut through Daniel's chest. Father. He felt his throat tighten. He had never imagined children, not with a human, and certainly not with someone from another species. The idea was terrifying, impossible, yet strangely beautiful. He closed his eyes. Images flashed in his mind, the glow between their hands, the storm in the council hall, and the whispers spreading across the stars. If he walked away, perhaps his life would be safe. Perhaps Earth could distance itself from him, but she would be left alone, carrying the child of two worlds with enemies circling her like predators. When he opened his eyes again, he saw her, waiting, silent, searching his face for an answer. I don't know how to be a father to something so different, he said honestly. I don't know if I'm strong enough to protect you, or the child. But I know this. If I walk away, I'll never forgive myself, so yes, I'll stand by you no matter what comes. Her lips curved into a faint smile, the first true smile he had seen from her since they met. Then you are braver than you think, Daniel. At that moment, a loud alarm echoed through the station. Red lights flashed in the corridor. Daniel and the ambassador turned toward the window just in time to see small ships circling outside, unmarked vessels moving in formation. The ambassador's expression hardened. They've come sooner than I thought. Daniel's stomach dropped. Who? Those who fear what our child represents, she said grimly. They will try to end this before it begins. The door to Daniel's quarters hissed open, and one of her guards rushed in. Ambassador, human, we must move. The council has lost control. Assassins have entered the station. Daniel's heart pounded. He wanted to deny it, to hope it was just another rumor. But the look on the guard's face was real. The danger was already here. The ambassador turned to him, her hand brushing against his arm. This is the moment, Daniel. Your choice must not only be in words. Stand with me now, or everything ends. His legs felt weak, but his voice came strong. Then let's go. If they want to take us, they'll have to go through me too. For the first time, she looked at him with pride, as if he was more than just a human, more than just an accident. He was her partner, the father of her unborn child. Together, they followed the guard into the darkened corridors, the alarms screaming around them. Shadows moved in the distance, shadows carrying weapons. The galaxy's judgment had arrived, and Daniel had chosen his side. The station's corridors echoed with alarms and hurried footsteps. Daniel ran beside the ambassador, her violet glow faint but steady, her hand resting protectively over her stomach. The guard led them through twisting halls, while behind them, the sound of weapons clashing and voices shouting filled the air. They're inside already, the guard said sharply. Assassins from different factions. They want to silence you both before the truth spreads further. Daniel's chest burned as he ran. He had never been in a real battle. He was a diplomat, not a soldier. But every step reminded him of his choice. He could not abandon her. Not now. They burst into a dim maintenance bay. The guard sealed the door behind them, locking out the chaos for a brief moment. Daniel leaned against the wall, catching his breath. The ambassador stood tall, but her eyes betrayed her worry. They will not stop, she said quietly. To some, our child is hope. To others, it is danger. They fear what cannot be controlled. Daniel swallowed hard. Then we'll fight. We'll protect the child. Her eyes softened as she looked at him. You speak like a father already. Those words struck him deeply. For a moment, the noise outside faded, and Daniel thought about what she had said. A father. To a child, born of two worlds. A child who might unite or divide the galaxy. He wondered what the child would look like. Human eyes, Illyrian glow, or something entirely new. The thought filled him with both fear and awe. Suddenly the sealed door shuddered. The metal bent inward as attackers tried to force their way through. The guard raised his weapon. We don't have much time. We must reach the ambassador's ship. Only there will you be safe. The ambassador stepped forward, her glow brightening. No. Running will not end this. They will hunt us wherever we go. Only by surviving here before the eyes of the council will the galaxy understand that this child is real and that it must be protected. Daniel stared at her, amazed. Even in danger, she thought not of herself, but of the future. He clenched his fists. Then we stand here, together. The door burst open. Figures poured inside, masked assassins from different alien factions. Their weapons gleamed in the flashing red lights. For a heartbeat, everything slowed. Daniel saw death rushing toward them. But before the assassins could strike, the ambassador raised her hands. A wave of violet energy exploded from her, filling the bay with light. The attackers staggered back, blinded, their weapons clattering to the floor. Daniel shielded his eyes, but even through the glow he saw her strength. A mother defending her child. The guard fired his weapon, dropping 2 of the attackers. Daniel grabbed a fallen rod from the floor and swung wildly at another, knocking him down. His body shook with fear, but adrenaline carried him. The fight was brutal. Metal rang against metal, shouts filled the air, and violet sparks crackled from the ambassador's hands. When the last assassin fell, silence returned. The floor was littered with broken weapons and groaning bodies. Daniel's arms ached, his breath ragged, but when he looked at her, still glowing, still standing, he felt a strange pride. She had not been broken, and neither had he. The guard sealed the bay again. This is only the first wave. More will come. The ambassador looked at Daniel, her eyes shining even in exhaustion. Do you see now? This is not only about survival. It is about what our child represents. If we can protect it, if we can raise it, the galaxy will change forever. Daniel nodded slowly, his chest heaving. He thought of the council, of the angry voices calling the child an abomination. But he also thought of the silent ones, the few who had looked curious, maybe even hopeful. The child could be a bridge, a symbol. He stepped closer to her, his voice steady despite the chaos. Then we'll protect the child, together, no matter who comes against us. Her lips curved into the faintest smile, and she whispered, "You are already more than a diplomat, Daniel. You are becoming what the child will need, a father who will never turn away." Outside, more alarms blared. Reinforcements were on their way, both enemies and allies. The guard glanced at them nervously. "We must prepare. The council itself will decide your fate. If they see you both survive this night, perhaps they will think differently." Daniel clenched the rod tighter, his muscles aching. He was exhausted, but he felt something new inside him: determination, strength, purpose. For the first time, he was not running from the truth. He was embracing it. He looked at the ambassador, her glow reflecting in his eyes. "Let them come. I'll fight for you. For the child. For both our worlds." And as the next wave of attackers closed in, Daniel and the ambassador stood side by side, 2 figures bound by destiny, ready to defend the life growing within her, the child of 2 worlds. The council chamber was filled once more, but this time the atmosphere was heavier than ever. The air smelled of smoke and burned metal from the night's attack. News of the battle had already spread across the station. Every delegate had heard that assassins tried to kill the Illyrian ambassador and the human who stood beside her. Daniel walked slowly into the chamber, his body bruised, his arms aching. Yet his steps were steady. Behind him, the ambassador moved with grace, her glow soft but proud, her hand resting over her stomach. The hall grew silent as they entered, every eye fixed on them. The council leader's voice thundered, "The galaxy is in chaos because of you. Your bond has divided us. Some call it hope, others call it destruction. Today, we must decide. Do we allow this child to live, or do we end it here?" Daniel's blood went cold at those words. End it. How could they even think of such a thing? He wanted to shout, but the ambassador placed a calm hand on his arm, steadying him. She spoke first, her voice clear and unshaken. "You have seen the truth with your own eyes. Assassins came not for power, not for gold, but to stop this child from being born. Why? Because they fear change. They fear unity. But we cannot let fear rule us forever. This child is not the end. It is a beginning." Some delegates nodded, whispering among themselves. Others shook their heads in disgust. The council leader turned to Daniel. "And you, human, you are not of noble blood. You are not even trained for this kind of burden. Why should we let your seed change the future of the galaxy?" The words cut deep. But Daniel stood tall. His voice was rough but strong. "Because I didn't ask for this, but I will not run from it. You call me weak, unworthy. Maybe I am. But when assassins came, I fought. Not because I'm special, but because she and our child needed me. That is what a father does. He protects, he stays. He doesn't abandon his family, no matter how impossible it seems. The chamber grew quiet. His words carried a weight no weapon could match. The ambassador stepped closer to him, her violet eyes shining. You see, council members, he does not speak of power or glory. He speaks of responsibility. That is why this child must live, because it will be born from courage and unity, not fear. For a long moment, silence reigned. Then voices rose again, clashing like waves. This child will bring war. No, it may bring peace. Humans are dangerous. Perhaps they are exactly what we need. The chamber shook with division, but one thing was certain. The galaxy could no longer ignore them. Suddenly, the council leader struck his staff against the floor. Enough! The decision will not be made by fear nor by blind hope. The decision will be made by survival. If you, human, can protect her and the child, then let destiny decide. But know this, if you fail, the galaxy will not forgive you. Daniel met the old man's eyes and nodded. Then I swear, I will not fail. The ambassador turned to Daniel, her glow brightening. For the first time, she allowed herself to show tenderness in front of the entire council. She reached for his hand, and though whispers filled the chamber, she did not let go. Days turned into weeks. The attack slowed, though threats never fully stopped. But through it all, Daniel never left her side. He trained with guards, learned how to fight, how to survive, and the ambassador grew stronger, her body glowing brighter each day as the child within her grew. Finally, the day came. In the quiet of her private chamber, the ambassador cried out as the child entered the world. Daniel was there holding her hand, sweat dripping from his brow, his heart racing, and then soft cries filled the air. The child was small, fragile, glowing faintly with Illyrian light, yet with features of both parents. Its eyes opened, violet mixed with human brown, and in that moment, Daniel's breath caught. He reached down, his hands trembling, and held the newborn close. The warmth was unlike anything he had ever felt. Tears blurred his vision. I'm a father. The ambassador, exhausted but smiling, whispered, and I am a mother. Together we will raise the bridge between two worlds. Daniel looked at the child and then at her. His voice shook, but his words were firm. I swear no matter what comes, I will protect you both, with my life, with everything I am. This is my oath, as a man, as a human, as a father. The baby cried softly, its glow spreading through the room. The ambassador's eyes glistened with pride, and far beyond the chamber across the stars the galaxy trembled. Some feared, some rejoiced, but none could deny the truth. Something new had been born, a child of two worlds, and it all began with a single handshake.